Good morning. It is 6 o'clock. Good morning. We're now live. We weren't live when I started speaking, even though I thought we were. We're not live, but we are now. It's not over, but it is now. Good morning, James. Good morning, everybody. We are on Clubhouse. We are also live on Facebook and on LinkedIn and on Twitter and on Twitch and on Instagram and on X. In fact, we're just everywhere. In fact, we're twice on Facebook. We're literally just hanging around all over the place. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Monday, the 4th of March. Can you even believe that we are in March? The middle of the year, it feels like. Well, into that next, I feel like the next quarter is coming hell hell bent on being here before I'm ready. And yet, of course, I've got to be ready. So the 1st of April is approaching us. I think that everybody in business is thinking about the new financial year. If you want to come up, please do raise your hand. There's nobody come up so far. Sorry, I'm just looking down to see that you're all there, because of course I'm on screen as well, and on Clubhouse. I can't see you, but you can see me. Well, you can see a picture of me. So good morning, James. I don't know whether Jew's able to come up. He's had a bit of trouble with his mouse. There we go. We can give him a go. There we go. You're welcome to come up. Welcome to come up. Great to see you. Good morning, Philippa. Good morning. Good morning. Let me just do these things. Magicness. Please don't close the room if I make you a facilitator. There you go. I'll do the same with you, Clive. I don't like this green bean business not being there. Good morning, Clive. There we go. Now, is our Jew coming up? Yeah, he is. There we are. Hey up. Our Alexia's here. We will get going in just a few minutes, people. For those on social media that are watching me, if I was you, I'd press forward. For those that are on social media all over the place, let me know if you're here when you're here, like now. And the usual thing, I reckon, is that you say 1 to say that you're here live. And if you're not here live, then please write 2 right now. Make sure you've written 2 whilst you're not here. No, later. If you're here later, please put 2. And then when I come back and have a look at all your comments, I'll know whether you're here at 6 o'clock and whether you get up bright and breezy, or whether you're here at 11 o'clock. You just got up and thought, hey, I'm going to listen to MJ now because I'm out of my pit. Yeah, good morning. Good morning. So as you can see, if you are seeing us, then you will see that I am Mandy Jane. In fact, you won't see that because that's not what I've put. Let me see if I can make that happen. I am learning this stuff, I promise you. Just not very well. There you go. So if I take that off, it says what my name is. There you go. So you can see that I'm Mandy Jane, or MJ, which is easier. And I say it's MJ. Funnily enough, I met somebody else called MJ the other day, and it wasn't Michael Jackson, and it wasn't Michael Jordan either. It wasn't even me. That was the thing. It was actually a friend of mine's PA's partner. Yeah, they are. That's like your mother's dog's brother's auntie, isn't it? And they're called MJ. So now we've got somebody who goes, oh, is it your MJ or is it my MJ? Oh, isn't that cute? Very twee. Yeah, so I'm MJ, although I'm not the only MJ. I am the MJ to be listening to. I've got to tell you right here, right now, because I'm the only MJ, I think, at 6 o'clock on Monday, the 4th of March, talking about, well, what is lifespan planning? Thank you, James. That's me in that image, in that little video that's gone on there. The little video is me on my hand cycle. So I'm Mandy Jane, and I'm a wheelchair user. I'm a disabled lady in the UK. I am halfway through a century, so I'm clearly 21 years old, and I'm a teacher, a psychotherapist, and a trainee social worker. I'm 2/3 of the way through my social work degree, and I'm working in Wales. The reason I'm working in Wales is because what we're doing in Wales, in some ways, we're going to be doing in England in 15 years' time. And then some things we're doing in Wales, we've been doing in England for 15 years' time. It's an interesting position I'm in, because I've come from England, and there are things that Wales have been doing for ages differently to England, and they're doing it rather well. And there are things that England have been doing for ages, and they've been doing it rather horrendously, that Wales are about to start doing. And so what we're doing in Wales right now, we're going to be doing in 15 years' time in England. And what we've been doing in Wales for about 15 years, we should have been doing in England for the last 15 years. Now, I'm not sure whether that makes sense to you, but what you do need to know is that I'm in the right time, in the right place, doing the right thing with the right people on your behalf and my behalf and everyone's behalf. It's certainly not about me, it's about everyone else. But I'm included, which is an interesting position because once upon a time, I did not include myself. And I didn't include myself because I'd been usurped, I'd been marginalized, I'd been ostracized, I'd been exited, I'd been excommunicated from society because I didn't fit in society. Now, why didn't I fit in society? Well, because I'm disabled. And in the UK, in fact, all over the world, there are some pretty interesting ways of treating disabled people. In Ireland, for example, at the moment, in one of our four nations, we still put autistic children in white rooms without any stimulus in order to calm them down, which sounds logical, except if they're there all day bored without anything to do, it's not really going to help. So Ireland have an interesting way of dealing with autism. In France as well, if children are diagnosed autistic in France, then their parents are taken to psychiatric services because it's clearly about their parenting. And in fact, neurodivergence in this country is getting an interesting take, in that I keep hearing from services that these troubled families are the ones that need most touch base in services, and they're the ones that they're really studying as to how to reduce the amount of asking that those families make on the system. The demand on the system is what they talk about. So this demand on the system has been something that I have been tackling for the last 30 years. I am the demand on the system. My family is that awkward, neurodivergent, little bit awkward, little bit different, lots of different conditions arising in the same genetic sphere, in the same karass, in the same system. And if we're thinking about systems theory, my family is a system or a constellation. And in that system, they all have different needs, and those different needs all interact to affect each other's needs, because we live in one karass, one system, one constellation, one family, one group. And that group goes to one doctor. An example of that is that I was speaking with a GP just the other day, because we are in collaboration, and they were saying that they have now started what they referred to, or we referred to as case management, where those families come together. They give them a 50-minute appointment for three members of the family, say a mum and two kids, give them an extra 10 minutes, and then tackle them all together. Well, why? Because they're one system, right? So I didn't give them a hug, but I felt like it because I've been working in that way, in psychotherapy, in education, in SEN, which is special educational needs, in SEND, special educational needs and disability, and now in social work, and in access to work, which is disabled people going into the workplace, being in the workplace, and being welcomed and supported in the workplace. I've been applying this idea for, well, all of my working life. And in 2003, I copywrote it. It's very easy to copyright something. If you want to know how to do it, let me know. And I coined it lifespan planning. Interestingly, at the same time, I incorporated a company called Learning Societies. And Learning Societies literally was about learning about societies. And I realized in 2003 that the society I lived needed learning about, because I was in education, but I didn't know anything really about how to deliver disabled students allowance services, or access to work, or disabled living allowance, or PIP, or employment support allowance, or universal credit, which didn't exist then, or incapacity benefit, or disabled facilities grants, or any of those things. I didn't know what I was doing. I had to apply for personal independence payment for my husband, who had gone into psychiatric hospital and was there for a long time. And none of his wages covered anything, because he was on a salary, and his salary stopped after 6 months. So I was literally thrown into this world without any idea what to do. And when I ended up at tribunal, which is the third stage of PIP, the judge said to me, "How did we get to here?" I said, "Because nobody was listening. Nobody could hear me, nobody could see me, and nobody knew how to help me." And that was just the late 90s. I coined lifespan planning when I realized that his severe and enduring mental health condition would be lasting our lifespan. And I really had to do some bloody planning in order that we were going to manage. Now, my marriage lasted 18 years, and I'm sorry to say that I couldn't cut the muster, and I wasn't able to be a support for my husband any longer. It really did tell its toll on our relationship, and so did my conditions. And many disabled people divorce. Many disabled people go through domestic violence, aggression, and the breakdown of their relationship. Possibly not always because their relationship broke down, but because of the pressures that the requirement for lifespan planning produces. If we don't plan across our lifespan, particularly with disabilities, then, well, we're going to be scuppered. And for those that aren't disabled or feel that it isn't actually their business, disability is the only intersectionality that doesn't discriminate. We rarely grow black, we rarely grow queer, but we often grow into disability. And that's not me scaremongering. That's me just at the moment working in a daycare opportunities centre for older adults with dementia. And believe me, that we all need to plan in our lifespan for that eventual demise. We get slower, we do less, we hear less, we see less, we understand less, and we need more support for all of those daily function things that things like personal independence payment and attendance allowance pay for. And both of those benefits, because I'm going to move on to those another day, it's another story for another day, but we will be doing this. I'm going to tell you how exciting it is in a minute. Attendance allowance and PIP, personal independence payment, are non-means tested. That means that even if you're a millionaire and you have disabilities, you are entitled to apply for PIP as an adult, DLA, disabled living allowance for children with disabilities, and attendance allowance for older people above the age of 60. I believe it might be 65, but I think it's 60. Either way, if you get PIP, you can move on to attendance allowance. If you've never had PIP, you can get attendance allowance if you're the age. And if you're a child or you've got a child, they can apply for disabled living allowance, move on to PIP, and then move on to attendance allowance if that's what's required. So right across that lifespan, there is a provision, a disability benefit that's not means tested. That means you can have all the money in the world. If Elon Musk became disabled, which he already is, of course, he's autistic, although he might see that as a difference as opposed to a disability. Many people that are being diagnosed with a disability now see it as a learning difference or a living difference as opposed to a disability. So Elon Musk would, under the Disability Equality Act, he would be eligible to apply for welfare benefits that are not means tested if he was a UK resident. And it wouldn't matter that he's a bazillion, million, trizillionaire. That's not a real thing. But me and you worked out a quadrillionaire was, and we worked out how to be one. So that's me and you on our way to quadrillionaire-ness. So Elon Musk doesn't need to apply for PIP, but if he did and he lived in the UK, he could. But me and you are just a pound or two behind him as we're planning on our quadrillionaire-ness in the future. So yeah, so that's why it's important to understand the lifespan. It's who I am, and it's how I am, and it's what I am. And the reason I am is because I was born with disabilities. So what is lifespan planning is what we're here to talk about. And the reason that I've started with that is because I've got to begin at the beginning. And the reason I've got to do that is because I'm starting again. Oh, sounds a bit dodgy, doesn't it? When you've known me 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever years. And some of you have. I was speaking to a client last night who's been in my midst since 2001. What are we on? 2024, 23 years. That's across the lifespan, right? That young lady was in her early 20s when she met me from psychiatric hospital, and she's now just become a qualified expert by lived experience. She's a graduate in art, and her daughter is now living with her. All of those things happened in the last 23 years. When she came to me, she said, "I just want to be a graduate like my sister." And I can't imagine a day when my daughter's back with me. And I said, well, let's just prepare for that day, shall we? Now, I'm not sure how pleased she is that her 20-something-year-old engaged daughter's still living with her, but there we are. That's lifespan planning at its greatest. And the reason that I coined that phrase is because I realised when I met that young lady that we were in it for the long haul. At 18, she was going to go into the Russian ballet. She was a grade A across the board student, 8 A's at O level, 4 A stars. No, they weren't A stars then, at A level. And she was going into the Russian ballet, and her brilliance just scuppered her, and she ended up in mental health hospital at 18 with a massive breakdown, losing everything. It wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. And that young lady is in her 40s, having had actually a stroke in the middle of that. And she's still here fighting the good fight. So what is lifespan planning? Well, it's planning for every eventuality. It's planning when planning is needed. It's planning before planning's needed. It's looking at the lifespan as a whole approach. And Erickson called it a life course approach. He said that every action that we carry out, every phase that we go through, every period of life impacts and prepares us for the next. For example, in adulthood, we need to be learning in childhood that risk taking is possible, and that we have agency, and that risk taking allows us to create agency in our life, and we can make differences to our own experience. That helps us later be an adult that will take risks, calculated risks, in order to help our own lifespan development plan. So all those stages impact on all other stages. And adulthood, the one that I'm in right now, the one that goes from about 45 to about 65, not to death, because 65 to death is the last stage, Erickson says. This bit that I'm in now, we need agency. We don't just need agency, but we need agency that turns into longevity. We need to understand our lifespan plan. Our lifespan plan approach is working towards our legacy. And of course, that's the last stage, when we decide whether a life is worth living, whether we have lived our life well or whether we haven't, whether what we've set out to do we've achieved, whether we have achieved longevity through that which we put back into other people. So in adulthood, we need to be looking after and raising our children. We need to be making legacy in our business. We need to be leaving behind that which we've created. And if we haven't got children, if we haven't managed to do that, then we need to create legacy in some other way. And the way that we do that is through our workfulness, through the friends and family we have, through our good works, through our service in the community. Lifespan planning is service and our own life mixed together, because across the lifespan, I believe that serving is what makes our lifespan complete, because it is through the art of serving that we receive, is my belief. So lifespan planning is about, first of all, noticing that we have physical needs. If you think about Maslow created a hierarchy of actualization, a hierarchy of need, said that we need heat, light, food, water, all those basics. And he put it at the bottom of the pyramid, but actually we need all of them concurrently. But at our base, we must have those to survive. On top of that, belonging and a sense of agency, an ability to contribute, a way of receiving back from society, feeling loved, of belongingness, of feeling that we are part of a group, a karass, a family, a constellation, that which I was talking about earlier. Those who we are connected to, our karass, are those that we are involved on this life plan with. So what is lifespan planning? Well, it begins at the beginning, and it begins with what do we need? And that begins with who are we? And who I am is somebody who experiences the world with disabilities. And if you are, then we're the right people to be talking to. Now, the good news is that 3 years ago, when I died, I decided I was not going to stay in my hospital bed again. And I got out, and as soon as I could, I came to Wales to begin again this lifespan plan. But of course, everything that I'd been prepared me for everything I need to be. So I garnered all of my resources and I poured them into beginning again. I even began the charity again, and although it had been dissolved by HMRC because I was in hospital and had a DNAR on me, that's a do not artificially resuscitate, and the family were ready with a power of attorney to take over everything that had been. The charity was put into dissolution. When I didn't die, we applied to the government to undissolve it, and it is now undissolved. That charity, their books have now been ratified, I think that's the word, and we're just waiting for the government to give back our clean bill of health. That charity will have been around for 10 years, although it did run for 5 years and then was a reiteration of itself because it hadn't been set up in the right way. So actually 15 years, but 10 years it's been incorporated. Now, the funds that we are going for can only be accessed by a charity that's been around a decade, which is interesting because the decision to reignite the charity, which was Yell SOS, Shout Help, is what it was called, and rebrand that as Inclusion, was a decision made based on the fact that actually the government said yes, and I wanted to make sure that those dues were paid, because actually there's some money left in the account, but making sure that all those books were ratified, that everyone we thought was paid, and that all of the business from Yell SOS was put to sleep, put to bed, and we could begin again on this next stage of the lifespan plan for the charity. So we're there. It's been a long road and a lot of money, and actually trying to get the book sorted for the charity cost money, because we couldn't access the money in the charity until we'd ratified the accounts. So ironically, in order to access the charity accounts, we had to make money in order to release money. And I think lifespan planning is often like that. So we can be struck by something: disability, unemployment, separation, ill health, chronic illness like COVID, things that we just couldn't have predicted. And at that point, then things have to change. It's often because of a massive change that we have to make, massive happening, that we have to make those changes. But I would suggest that lifespan planning can happen at any point, literally at any point. It's something that I've done. I use it using a genogram. That's a life plan map. It's a map of who and what is around you in your constellation. I've done constellation work as part of my psychotherapeutic training, and I believe it's a powerful way of working with our narrative and working with our situation. Lifespan planning incorporates everything I've ever learned about everyone I've ever met. It includes all of those areas, such as how do we move, what's our exercise, what do we eat, what do we drink, what do we earn, how do we live in the world, how do we finance our lives, how do we live, where do we live, what kind of environment are we in, what is our environment, who do we have around us, and what are we learning, what are we listening to, what are we imbibing, what are the messages that we are receiving, and then what are we putting out there, and what do we want, where are we going, where are we now. All of those questions are answered when we start moving through those areas of need. And they begin with, how can I help you? And what is your situation? What brought you to this moment? Because everything brought us to this moment. Every decision we've ever made, every opportunity we've ever not taken, and every opportunity that we've had. And also all that which has befell us, such as disability, illness, chronic mental health conditions, or terrible occurrences which then impact on us psychologically, and often situationally. So what is lifespan planning? Well, it's a plan across all of the modalities. It's a way of living in the world, and it's a way of living in the world given the reality of the situation that we find ourselves in. And the reason that I've got good at it is because I've met hundreds of thousands of people in different situations, all who have been limited by some form of intersectionality, whether that is that they have a disability, or whether it's that they're black and have a disability, or gay and black and have a disability, or gay and black and have a disability and can't see, that's a disability, but they layer on top of each other. So does being a single parent family. So does being a single man with children, right? There are so many ways that we are discriminated. So does being a menopausal woman. So all of those things. There are intersectionalities that layer and layer and layer, but the one that really that we are most capable in is that when life befalls us with a genetic or a physical condition or a psychological condition or an emotional condition that happens as a result of the world, there are ways to move through the world that make it easier. And those welfare benefits are something that often people begin with. The reason for that is because when the shit hits the fan, everything falls apart. And the first thing that goes is our income, because our workfulness is affected, right? If we can't think, we can't feel, we're over emotional, we're tired, we're not eating well, we're not feeling well, workfulness is the first thing to go. And then so comes reliance on other people. And then begins the caring route. We also work with carers. Unpaid carers are a massive government approach now. In the next 5 years, you're going to be seeing the government talk about unpaid carers ad nauseum, because they are our unsung heroes. And I'm sure if you are an unpaid carer, or you've been an unpaid carer, or you care for somebody else, you'll understand that your life is a completely different story because of that fantastic happening in your life. And I'm not saying that anybody here would want to change it. I've cared for my 3 children, all of whom have had disabilities. My husband, as I have alluded to, and of course, I'm a wheelchair user. I'm not saying that being a carer is a bad thing, but I'm saying it's a thing that needs noticing. Carers have needs. They have learning needs. They have living needs. They have earning needs. They have psychological needs. They have commitments. They have their own caring needs sometimes. And of course, as we've alluded to again, disability knows no bounds, and it will take no prisoners. It will even take carers out. So often carers will find that they're caring with disabilities. So lifespan planning affects everybody. And tonight at 7 o'clock, I'm meeting with the inclusion group in Inclusion, which is another house on Clubhouse. This morning, you're in MJ's house. This evening, we're in Inclusion at 7 o'clock. And at 8 o'clock, there's a brand new thing happening. I told you I was starting again. We're starting again. I sound like a Teletubby. We're starting again. This evening at 8 o'clock, between 8 and 9, there's going to be a webinar. And that webinar is going to be what is lifespan planning and the beginnings of explaining about these welfare benefits, which have no means test. So if you know somebody who has a disability, somebody who has a psychological condition, somebody who's had a terrible happening, or knows that they are on their way to their demise or to their limitation, or even a reduction in their capability, they might need lighter duties at work. It may be that they have been told that they have something that's going to affect them now and in the future. If you know somebody like that, or you think you might become somebody like that, let's face it, that's everybody. So I don't know whose this isn't the business of. Then 8 o'clock tonight, there will be a webinar, and we are inviting some guests along. You will be able to come along to that. It won't be streamed, but it will be available afterwards. But it's free to attend. When I say it's free to attend, it's free at point of delivery. We're not going to be charging anyone to come in, but we are going to be asking for donations. So we want people to vote with their feet, vote with their purse, and vote within their capability. And we want you to donate to Inclusion. The reason for that is because I do all of this for nothing. And I do that, and I have done all of my life. But what I want to do is create the first funded disabled entrepreneur. And believe me, we are going to rise beyond anything anyone has ever imagined we would. The first one's on their way. The first 200 have been created through the business that I incorporated. Those that can be funded through the Access to Work programme are being created on a daily basis. Those without are the ones that I am most interested in, because they're the people that absolutely need lifting up to rise beyond the intersectionalities that have befallen them. So it's important that we do that. I've not put that link up. Anyone that knows that link is welcome to pop that up. We have the Disabled Entrepreneurs Club, and we are not far off the first one. We need 10 grand. Why do we need 10 grand? Well, if you're disabled and you start a business, you've got to have turned over 7 grand in the first 12 months before Access to Work get there. Well, before you've been running for a year. Access to Work take about 6 months to get there. If you haven't made that minimum income guarantee in the year, then your business doesn't get funded by Access to Work, and you can't carry on because you haven't got any help. So effectively, you stopped. It saves lifestyle businesses like Little Johnny selling, stamps at the car boot sale for 5p each, but it also prevents real people from doing real things. So that link isn't at the top, but it will be there tonight, and I will aim to make sure that it's in the chat later on replay, and this will be replayed. So what is lifespan planning? Well, it's something that I designed, and it's a connection of all the ideas and of all the systems that work in the UK for people with disabilities, those who care for people with disabilities, and those in families where those intersectionalities befall them. And it begins with you. It begins with connecting with us. It begins with inclusion. And as I said at the beginning, I made inclusion to include me after I died, because without I include myself, it's very difficult for my lifespan plan to be robust enough. That means I'm strong enough to be here and be delivering every day to the craft that I've created. So, well, I have been speaking for nearly 30 minutes non-stop, and I feel like I have stolen the limelight. I've hogged the stage and I've robbed the morning. But I wanted to share that really important information with you, and the news that on a Monday night, 8 till 9, I'm going to be delivering these webinars where you are able to come and ask questions. There will be Q&A at the end. They will be recorded. Recordings will be available on a platform, a channel on the YouTube channel, which is just about to be relaunched and rebranded with Jan Santos, who is working with us alongside some other amazing people. We have a team of people going to be working on our media, our social media, our production, and indeed our TV opportunities, because they're coming as well. So we are doing baby steps, and these baby steps have been seen by lots of amazing people. I'm just practicing, because practice makes progress. And we're here in Clubhouse, and I'm looking for Clubhouse to become a gated community. A gated community is a token gated community, and it works along the crypto and NFT modalities. Now, I've been studying those for 20 months. And actually, I've had quite a big breakthrough in the last week, although it was quite frightening. Crypto, Bitcoin, Dogecoin have gone with their 4-yearly kind of market lift, and I had been investing when things were in the downturn. So it's an interesting game, and it's a game that everyone should be playing, because this is what Clubhouse intended to be at the beginning. So it's interesting that in this lifespan plan, that Clubhouse hasn't even begun to be what it intended to be yet. This is just its first iteration, and I wonder whether it will get to the next stage. But either way, I've done a lot of learning about crypto, about gated communities, about NFTs, about how the decentralized economy is going to impact the third sector, and I'm ready. So I'm ready for whatever befalls Clubhouse. But I'm here. And of course, we're not just on Clubhouse. We're on Facebook. For those of you on Facebook, say hi, leave us a message, put some comments in. Let's get this party started. Those on Twitch, well, welcome. Twitch is the new everything, so wait and see. We are on Twitter, of course, that's X, and we're on Insta. The reason we're on Insta is because, well, everybody is, aren't they? I've heard some terrible things about Insta, so I'm interested to see how that plays out. We're everywhere, and some would say that that might spread our audience. Well, good, because I'm not interested in metrics. What I'm interested in is one person at a time, learning about this situation, coming along and changing their life for the better. That's it. That's what we're about. We're about giving people the opportunity to be who they are, be their most fantabulous self, but understand how to circumnavigate this ludicrousness of all of the systems that you have to manage when you have a disability, when you have a loved one with a disability, when you have a kid that gets ill, when you, well, all the time, all these systems. And they're the systems that I learned. For those that don't know, I'm high functioning autistic. I'm a systems analyst. It's what I analyze, and when I do, I take them apart, I put them back together again. It might have been a Hoover, it could have been a Rubik's Cube, but instead it's the systems that the government give us in order that we live. And the reason that I had to navigate those systems and take them apart and put them back together again in order to know how to work them was because, and work within them, was because I was in a system when I was 11 that said I couldn't have a gas fire, to come home to my family home out of hospital. So I was stopped. And that just blew the world up for me. What? Some strange person that I've never met controls whether I can leave the hospital because they won't let my mum have a gas fire in our house. That changed my life, that one decision by that one person. And one day I'd like to meet the person that made that decision, because they have inadvertently helped hundreds of thousands of people by preventing me that gas fire. It would be nice to meet that person. I'd like to know who made that decision way back when I was 11, waiting for a gas fire, a backseat wall heater to be put into my house so I could come out of hospital. Well, it never happened. And I never went back to that house. My lifespan plan was forever usurped, changed in its trajectory because of that decision by that civil servant who said that my mum's application to the Department for Works and Pensions wasn't good enough and my need wasn't great enough for them to help her, I think, borrow the money. I think that was the thing. So that started me off, and here we are now. And remember, I'm 21. I'm Mandy Jane, and I've been doing this over 30 years. If you want to get in touch, please do. If you want to come along tonight, please do. If you want to know how to come along tonight, give us a DM. I am in my different work all day, but I am finished at 4:30. So if you want to talk to me between now and 7 o'clock tonight, then please message me either here or on any of the channels that you are watching me on, and I will make sure that you've got a link for tonight so you can come along, you can take part, you can ask those questions. We can really get to the nitty-gritty, to the meat of the bone of how these welfare benefits are accessed and when and where and how. And what exactly does lifespan planning involve? What will it mean when you come to us? What will it mean that we do to you? Well, we don't do anything to you. We do things with you, not to you. And nothing's about you without you in our organisation, because inclusion is about including us, all of us, making sure that we've got a space, a place, an opportunity to be at the table equitably and in a way that we can carry out in a lifespan plan that works for us, giving us a life that we deem is worth living. And whether we've got a life that we deem is worth living now, making sure that we have done, and we do have, for the rest of our days, no matter what befalls us, making sure that we can learn to dance in the rain, because it's only when we dance in the rain, isn't it, that actually we've learned to dance at all. It's no good being okay to be hokey-dokey and happy just when everything is hunky-dory. Look at all those words I've just made up. It's no good then, is it? Because that's not when we need it. We need it when it isn't okay. We need it when the poop hits the proverbial and when things aren't going so well. So if you're worried about that, or you think that might be you in the future, or you're looking at the UK and going, well, it's pretty obvious that's where I'm going, particularly if I live in this pollution and I eat the food I do and I move the way I do and I do the job I do and I'm as sedentary as I am. And well, we're all kind of heading for inflammation, aren't we? Not to put too fine a point on it, but of course, dementia is the third diabetes. It's diabetes 3. We're desperately trying to stop our general populace moving towards a dementia state. I wonder sometimes whether we really do know what we've done to ourselves and whether we know what we're heading for. But I do know that we're heading for needing each other, and that's why we're together. That's why we're better together, and it's why we work playing the same game together and learning how to do it together. Inclusion requires you, and it is your concern. So we are going to be together tonight at 7. And then I've got on the webinar at 8. If you want that link, come along at 7. If I was you, then you'll know who and what and how we're being, what we're doing, and how to ask those questions. And then you will be on a webinar that will be then put out into the public domain at some point. It will also be on our YouTube channel, because we're showcasing this work to some TV production companies who are interested in who and what and how we do what we do, which is great. That's what we like to hear. So we've got to showcase that. And for that, I needed Louis and Jan and a lady called Marcella. Yeah, Marcella. I've got the name right, I think. So we are still in MJ's house. It's Monday, the 4th of March, and we've got 20 minutes before we go over to my coach, the one and only Peter Cohen on LinkedIn, for our Mindset Monday. I can't listen to that all the way through on a Monday early now. I have to run away and drive across Wales to my placement but the sun is coming up over Cardiff Bay. It's looking absolutely beautiful. I'm going to actually open my blind because I'll be honest, I think I deserve to see that sunrise today. It is absolutely stunning over the water, absolutely stunning. It's a Monday morning, and I'm going to hand over to the beautiful people on this stage. I'm going to go first of all to James, because I think that although we've got new people on the stage and people that haven't been here for a while, I think we should go in people order. We've got 20 minutes, James, and only 4 of you. You've got like 5 minutes each. Don't hug all the stage like me, but that sunshine is beautiful, a bit like this sunrise that I'm looking at right now with the pink sky and reflecting in the water. Good morning, James. How are you?
Good morning, MJ. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I'm well. First of all, I'm really grateful to the support I've had from you and your team this year and last and the year before, because I've been able to start my plan that's stopped, then it started, and it's starting again. Today, as the sun rises, I can finally see the chalk on the blackboard. Some of it's scraped off and revealed the paint below, which means it needs a new coat. And as the sun's now rising outside, I can see it a lot better where I've missed with the black paint. Where it needs another. But I can see a lovely sign on there that says, live for today, plan for tomorrow. Party tonight. And once I read that party tonight, it came into my head. I don't know why, but cheese and wine for some reason came into my head. But as I don't drink wine, and I've not got much of a mouse problem round here, I'll be swerving the cheese, because the cauliflower cheese I made yesterday with an unlumpy roux, which is like an absolute
miracle.
And it's really easy as well. You just get the digital
so
scales
proud of you.
Precisely measure, but don't do 66 grams of your butter and your flour, because then you end up with pouring gallons and gallons of organic milk in. But it worked out nice, and I'm sure there's other ingredients you can put in there if you're gluten or dairy resistant.
Oh, there are. I tell you, I make fantastic cauliflower cheese, but don't tell Trey because he'll vomit. He hates cauliflower cheese. The idea of it makes him just... But I think it's because he's blind and he can't see, and if something's wet, it's very difficult to eat when you're blind. So yeah, he's not a cauliflower cheese man, but I love cauliflower cheese. So one day you can make me some cauliflower cheese with soya milk or goat's milk, James. Yeah.
I did have goat's cheese in it.
Oh, you see, this is it.
It was really rich.
Goat's cheese, cauliflower cheese is just incredible.
I've frozen some of it for later.
Well, you see, there we are. Maureen batch cooks now. Yeah. Well, Maureen does.
It helps with budgeting and planning across the month.
And portion control.
Yes.
I'm just saying that because I didn't notice. Hey, well, this is it. I didn't notice until I had to track my food. And I don't eat a lot because my bowel's resected, but my tummy's resected. So you've seen how much I can eat. I can't eat a great deal, but still my portion control was a bit mad when it came to things like carbs. I still was eating far too many carbs. I'll be honest. I was. I thought, I thought a portion of rice was like a bucket.
Well, for me, you've got to journal it all. This is more thoroughly, but
no, it's right.
Measure and then
I didn't understand.
Write down, because at the end of the week or the end of the month, I mean, I only do it every month now. I only weigh myself every month, and I say to myself, right, if I don't judge it if it's not where I want to be.
No,
I just look across the notes.
Yes,
I think, right, that's where it is. Like the calendar that's up in the kitchen, which I write once I've cooked a meal, I write down what I've ate.
Oh, this is it. You see, you're already tracking.
There's always there's always that little bit of extra room for improvement, I think.
Always.
And each time it's them incremental gains with the habit changing.
It is, and I didn't realise. I used to think Rome was built in a day, right? And I'd be like, right, I've failed. I've ruined my diet. It's so funny, isn't it? I've ruined my diet. It's done now. It's over. I can't do it anymore. What? Actually, what I meant was I'd eaten whatever. and then I felt like a failure. Well, good, because that's what teaches me not to feel like that again. It's that learning to fail fantastically forwards, James. It's accepting. And when I used to hear you be like, yeah, I absolutely messed this up, I used to think, wow, like he's all right with that, telling everybody how crap he is. And now I'm just as good.
Realistic with yourself. I mean, you stay really bad day. One of the legs fell off the bed. As I'm rearranging all furniture here.
I'm glad you weren't in it.
No, gosh, no. But that's all back. I'm thinking, and I have so much more room in the bedroom now with all. And I've realised that the office desk I'm looking at can go on the opposite corner.
Well
and that
done.
bigger set of drawers can go right where that was, which will give me even more room. So
there's something in that moving things round, James. I've not quite got it because I used to do it as a kid all the time. Move my bedroom around, I used to, if I cleaned up the house, which I did all the time, I used to move the furniture around because then I'd clean behind it and I'd think, well, I'd like it to be a bit different now. But there's something in that because I've moved. I think I moved 19 times when I went to Scarborough, and of course I come from Romany. My grandma was in a painted caravan. Oh, sorry. Am I disturbing you? Yeah. And I really feel like there's something in that moving around. I don't know what it is yet, but I haven't put my finger on it. But there's something about that.
If the environment doesn't suit you, improve the environment.
Exactly.
Change your environment. Exactly. And that's all I'll do. I know this afternoon I'm going to have a little Winston because I'm really excited about this evening. So I'm going to have a...
What are you doing this evening?
Journaling, obviously.
Oh, me. Sorry, us. Inclusion.
No,
what are you doing?
Inclusion tonight. So I'm going to take a little cat nap this afternoon.
Oh, wow.
Because,
sleep ready.
Yeah. And I'll be... getting the kettle on for a coffee, and I'm going to leave it on that because I realise there's other incredible people, and I've talked.
And of course, this evening you can feed in. You can feed in this evening because you'll be able to talk about your journey. It's great. Can't wait. So excited.
The journal all on the pad, and the useless PC is about to get dusted off for 7 o'clock. So I need to press the buttons on it now because I might need to go down to the telephone box for the defibrillator from outside to get it properly working. But hopefully I'll see Pete later, and I'll hand over to Philippa and have a lovely morning. See you later.
Thank you, darling. Thank you, James. Oh, do you know, it's so exciting. I love the fact it's Monday morning. The sun's up. I've only got 15 minutes. I've got 3 beautiful, incredible people to be alongside me. And Philippa, good morning. How are you feeling? You fell out. You fell off your Romeo. Well, you fell behind your Romeo. Well, your Romeo fell over in a field, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
How are you? Are you all right?
I'm absolutely fine.
Good. Well done for being brave. I've not fallen out my Romeo yet. Well, I did forward onto a rock. That sounds a bit dodgy. But I was able to slide out and then slide back in. I didn't go careering across a field like you, but I will do one day. I can see it being me soon. So don't watch this space. I'll be flying across a field like you soon. I feel quite jealous.
It shouldn't be a competition.
Look, I want. Yeah, it is, isn't it? It is. I've been out of a chair. I came out my wheelchair out the back of my van when the lift was down, Philippa, last Christmas.
Me too.
Really?
That's how I arrived at my present house. I fell out my van and I lay on the road waiting for an ambulance, meeting my neighbours.
Wow. 4 hours I laid there thinking I've broken my back. They didn't think I'd literally out the back of the van. Wow. You see, we are brave.
I'm not recommending it.
Oh, this stage really, Clive, I'm surprised you really feel like you must feel like an odd one out, really, that you haven't thrown yourself across the world somewhere. Our Jew's always thrown himself out the chair. Philippa, so what do you think about lifespan planning? Or what do you want to share?
What I want to share is stealing a bit of what you do, because I today looked at my Raise Your Vibration book.
Yes.
With consideration of lifespan planning, and it tells me that I have heard the call of the universe. and that there's more to life than the way I have been living. So I clearly
no.
need to do some planning.
You know, that raise your vibration. I know Vex King sounds like a dodgy name. Sounds like vexing. But Vex King really, actually, I think has really tapped into something powerful, which is that when we remind ourselves of our royal duty, our gift of being human, the reason that we got selected, that there is more to life, and what's more to life is us. We're more to life.
Yes.
And they ask us as disabled people to accept less. And I'm no longer accepting that. I don't know about you.
No, me neither. That's gone. That's the past.
That's it. I completely
I
agree.
accepted less, and now I am challenging for more.
Yes, and it's not a dirty word. More's not a dirty word. And asking for more when we're disabled doesn't mean that we're ruining everybody else's life. It means that we are going to be part of this being, economically contributing, or whatever they call it. Economically active, there we are. That we're going to contribute to this economic activity. And then we'll have a place at the table, and then we've got a voice and a space and an opportunity to say, actually, I'd quite like to get on the tube too, you know. I saw a thing on the tube the other day where everybody I don't even know why they did it, but they all took their pants off. They went on the tube and loads of people took their trousers off, and then they went along the tube with no pants on. Well, good. I'm glad they can get on the tube and choose to take the pants off. I'd just like to be able to choose to take my pants off. But not when I get thrown out my Omeo. I don't think stripping whilst leaving the Omeos away. For those people that don't know what an Omeo is, it's the world's first hands-free mobility device, and it moves with my body. And Philippa has an Omeo, and I have an Omeo. We are Omeo queens, and I'm learning to dance in my Omeo. Philippa decided to put her 4x4 wheels on her off-road wheels and go in a field, and then get thrown out of a muddy field in her Omeo because she's brave.
I just needed to reach back to my gymnastic roots and do some somersaulting.
I can't wait. This sounds horrible, but I wish we'd videoed it.
I know, I'm always too late. I'm always like, oh, that just happened. Now I take a photograph.
That would have been amazing. Yeah, a photograph of it over. But you see, I bought one of these Insta GoPros Insta. And I'm working out how I can attach it to the Omeo so that when we have those ridiculous Insta experiences, that we can video them and then show me up for the rest of my life. So that's my aim. I'm going to move from showing my children up for the rest of their life to showing myself up for the rest of my life. Take personal radical responsibility for the embarrassment. Okie dokie. Thank you so much, Philippa. Clive, you're here. I apparently made our duo a moderator.
Hey, how you doing?
Good morning. You all right?
I'm good. It's been a long time since I've been on Clubhouse. I found all the updates very confusing. I haven't been able to find anything.
No, you can't. It's mad. It's mad. You can't see anything, and you can't find anything. And learning it's like a whole new language again. Yeah, a bit like becoming disabled.
I love the idea of lifespan planning, and I think the biggest thing for me is that resistance to people to face the realities of what might be. But actually, if we do take that brave decision to look at the reality of what's before us, then actually we can get the best out of it.
Opportunity.
And how do you do that? How do you get people to go, I'm comfortable to discuss the potential bleakness or the potential hope that lies within that? And I think that's going to be the biggest problem, is overcoming that. I mean, for my parents, there's a lot of stuff going on, and there is something that some people are willing to look at and to make changes, and other people are not. And it's very hard for people who will not face those changes and not accept the help.
Yes.
And that's the bit that I'm interested in, is how do you overcome resistance?
Yeah. That'd be great to discuss. That'd be great to discuss. If you are around, that would be something to talk about, because I often get people who come along and say, look, my nan, she's really poorly and I look after her every day, but she won't apply for attendance allowance. She says she's fine. She says she's absolutely dandy, but I have to go shopping for her. I have to go get her out of bed. I have to make her a cup of tea. I have to take her a dinner. I've got somebody going shopping, but she says she's fine because, like, we're all doing it, but we can't keep doing it. And my nan says she's fine. And we have that with kids as well. You know, he's left school. He don't want to apply for PIP because he might have been autistic at school and he had all this help and he got taxis there and back. But he's grown up and he don't want any of this malarkey. He don't want to have to go and talk to anybody. So yeah, and even those people that maybe have been, you know, over COVID, I don't know, but many people over COVID did something, whether it was that they sold Organo like I do, or Tropic or Avon or anything like that, and they've made a bit of money and they don't know what to do about it and they haven't really declared it and they're disabled and they might be scared. Well, do you know what? It's a massive opportunity. There's loads of opportunities here and it is facing it. You're right, Clive. So I'm ready to have those conversations with and about it, because I think that fear is the biggest thing. And what I found when everything went wrong, it went right. When I died and I had to sell £500,000 worth of buildings. I know that doesn't sound a lot down south. It's, you know, it's a shoebox, but for me, it was everything. It was 3 buildings. It was 3 businesses. It was 3 income streams. And I had to sell all that. I had 25 staff. All them had to be paid off. 76 grand was the last staff bill that month. And it all stopped. And when that happened, I didn't see that there was any possibility of a way through. I could only see bankruptcy. I could only see the end of everything. And that fear of doing something about it was the fear of facing the shame of failure. Whereas once I faced it, it just wasn't failure at all. It was success waiting to happen. And that's why inclusion exists, because I was willing to go to the government and say, you know, that charity that dissolved because I died, please may I have it back because I'm not dead now. And that took a lot of guts to say everybody closed everything on my behalf and now I'm still here. And actually it didn't go that well. And look at all the money that, you know, I've now got attached to my house. So yeah, I think shame is the biggest thing. I don't know what you think about that, but shame is the thing for me.
Quite
that stops
possibly.
us.
I'm not going to take up too much time, but
No.
I've got an idea for something that I can make you that might be quite interesting later. So I've been doing the Get Me Unstuck website, and I think this stuckness is something that people need to get over, and
Yes.
they need a bit of help. So I will design you something shortly, and I will send you a link to it.
Thank you.
Be interested to see what you think of it. So
thank you. That's amazing, Clive. If we can work together, think together, and come up with methods together. Everything I have ever done has been a combination of everything I've ever experienced. You know, I did a personal effectiveness at work course, and it was one of the greatest things I ever did, a level 2. It actually taught me about a sixth sense and about being able to predict what was going to happen by by the method of actually by just consistency. Because I just kept doing the same thing, and guess what? It happened. But yeah, it taught me all sorts of things, and I bring everything that I have. That's why our lineage is so important. The people that have coached us and the people that we've worked with is so important. I don't think people do it for showboating particularly. I think they do it to say, look, this is the knowledge that I've absorbed. This is the person that I've experienced. This is the learning that I've taken on board. So I'm always fascinated to hear anyone that has been to do anything anywhere, because it's usually something I've not noticed, and therefore I'd love to download the information in your brain and share mine. One day we'll be able to do that just electronically. Elon Musk will do that for us. We'll be able to swap brain knowledge. And I'd like to swap it with you, Clive.
It's been lovely hearing you again this morning. It's been nice jumping back on Clubhouse and seeing everyone. So yeah,
good. And we love you very much, and we've missed you, and I love you being here. You're an asset wherever you go, whatever medium. And I've met you in person. I'm so fortunate to have had a hug. Those that haven't, hard luck, you didn't come.
Hey, well, have a good morning, everyone. It's been lovely to see you all again. So.
And you, Clive. Thanks for joining us. Bye. Julian, last but not least, in the last 2 minutes, you've only got 2 minutes. They've stolen all your time. How do you feel about that?
Gutty.
I hadn't even got to talk to you this morning. I woke up at 7 minutes to 5, thought, oh shit, the bed I've got to be in a morning meeting. I'm not even dressed. I haven't got any coffee. And I made it to morning meeting by 5 minutes.
If you're going to ditch me for a shit like that, it's just not on.
I agree, but you're going to be late for school if you don't go now because you've only got a minute to Sharon's class. And I've got a minute to my class too. Otherwise, my coach will get me done. So I'm going to run away now and love you lots. And I'll see you tonight for Lifespan Planning. You are Lifespan Planning, so you can come and share with everybody at 7 and 8 o'clock, can't you?
I can.
I love you, and I'll see you there.
Love you.
Bye, everybody. Have a good day. Bye, everybody. Have a good day.